All right, we'll go ahead and get started.
Hang on, it gets worse.
Don, will you lead us in our invocation?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the opportunity to come here and serve you. God, as we do your business, I pray that you'll have your hand upon us. Lord, be with those that have traveled here tonight and as they travel home. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Samantha, will you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll go ahead and convene our meeting. Start with roll call. Misty Cottle.
Here.
Jeff Upton. Here. Jan Throgmorton.
Here.
Marty Lindaberry. John Collins.
Here.
Dina McKnight.
Here.
Don Rollins.
Here.
Jimmy Condiff.
Here.
Our city attorney and city clerk are both present. First item on the agenda is the adoption of our agenda. I do have an amendment for that. It is for a sewer repair that would be coming out of the ARPA funds that are remaining unallocated. So I would like to put that at new business item 1.
Make a motion that we amend it.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda with an amendment for a sewer project. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is the approval of our meeting minutes from our July 11th meeting. Do we have any changes that need to be made to those?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as mailed.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Next is our public forum. It looks like we have a large crowd tonight, so that'll be good. So we do ask that you try to keep your comments to roughly 2 minutes, just for the sake of time. I do know that the city council may ask questions to you, but please direct all of your comments or questions to the council. And we will not take any official action tonight regarding those comments. So, with that being said, who would like to address the council tonight?
I would.
Yes, ma'am. Come up and tell us who you are.
I'm Tara, new to this, trying to get involved with the community, trying to better understand where all the finances are going, why it has to be so. I have been asking the city of West Fork several times about why the rates are the way they are, and I've been told that it is the city of Fayetteville, and that they're the ones that do it. I have taken to Facebook and asked questions, and people say to accept the rates, that it's going up everywhere. But I don't think that's a way to invoke change, and that's not the way I want to see it going. So that being said, I reached out to Fayetteville to ask them. I told them, well, our water runs down there. We can dam it up here and charge you if that's the case. And they said, well, I mean, it doesn't really work that way, but we have advised West Fork to do it this way. They look from November to February and base people's rates. If they use 5,000 gallons or 10,000 gallons, that's what they get charged all year round. That's when they're not watering outside for their plants or filling their pool. And that they have advised West Fork to do the same, but you guys have kicked it out. But it would make it more affordable, especially during the summer. And I want to know why something like this hasn't been implemented. And if you have kicked it out, why? I asked her to tell me names of maybe people that did, and she said she would return that in an email. But then she was advised to leave the names out and just set forth with what that email said. So can you guys fill me in?
So I can fill you in a little bit. I can tell you I've been mayor for 6 years. Misty's been on the council for over a decade. Nobody from Fayetteville's ever called me advising me on rates. I think that's the reason they're not sending you names of who they've contacted. So the way it currently works, once we closed our sewer plant, which was about 2 years ago, we tied into Fayetteville. You're new to this, so I'm going to go all the way back. We had a sewer plant that was put in the late 60s. It was severely outdated. So we had 3 options. We could redo that sewer plant, we could build a new sewer plant, or we could tie our sewer into Fayetteville. The cheapest option in all aspects was tying into Fayetteville. The issue with that is we had to take out a $10 million bond to put that project in. So part of that sewer bill is based on paying that bond back, and part of that sewer bill is paying Fayetteville to treat our sewer. The state came in at the time, because the state provided those loans to us. They came in at that time and did a rate analysis and said, this is what you need to raise your rates to be able to pay for Fayetteville to treat it and to pay your loans back. The state has now come back and said, well, they didn't say this. They missed their calculations, their rate analysis. So they've came back to us now and they want us to raise our rates another 53%. Is that right? Yes. 56%, you're exactly right. So the state's wanting us to raise our rates another 56%. Fayetteville, in the meantime, has done a rate study and they want to raise our rates as well. When it first came out, they were wanting to raise our rates 70%. With this latest round of rate increases that they're proposing, they're only raising them like 40%. The city council meeting at Fayetteville is next Tuesday at 5:30, and I'll be there fighting for us again. I've already been to one of those, trying to get that put away. But the fact of the matter is, and I don't know if anybody's gave you a budget yet or not, if you want to look at city finances, but I'll let you look at mine. So you can come up and get that. So on this side of it, this is what we collect for charging sewer, right, from all the citizens. This is what we pay to treat it. This is our loan payment that we make every month. And this is how much we're in the hole. So we're currently putting $340,000 worth of sales tax into the sewer department to pay down those bills so that we're not passing those shortfalls on to the people.
I just feel like it's putting others into the hole. It's not so much my water bill that's high.
No, it's the sewer.
That is 3 times what my water is.
Mm-hmm.
And they want it to go up. And I thought life would be a little more bearable on the outskirts.
And so part of that issue is we have about 1,450 people on city water. We only have about 750 on city sewer. So 750 people are bearing all of the burden for the sewer, and that's why the sewer has went up and the water hasn't. Now water's about to go up because City of Fayetteville is planning to raise that too, and they haven't raised it in over a decade. We're not going to win that battle. But
So if everybody in the town fails, what happens to it then? The money goes away? They
Yeah.
get their money?
yeah, pretty much. But you can keep that.
Thank you.
I can assure you that none of us want to raise anything. It's, you know, our hands are kind of tied.
I just didn't have a big understanding of it. Wanted to gain some knowledge and get to meet each and every one
Well,
of
those are
you.
good questions.
I've heard that you've gone, and I don't have any more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tara, how do you spell your last name?
BELL.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to address the council tonight? No? All right, we'll close the public forum and move into our business reports. First up, Planning Commission, Walter.
Good evening. So we're still in a little bit of a slowing down time and trying to get going on the text of our Title 14 revision. But last month at our meeting, we had 2 business items. We reapproved the Rolling Hills preliminary plat. They had run out of time for them to act on it. Somebody else bought it, and so they resubmitted. It was exactly the same. So that covered all of our bases, and so now we're just waiting on street specifications and their final plat, I guess. And then we also, there's somebody building a house, and in our code, we allow temporary placement of a manufactured home, and they came to us for 5 years, and we're like, okay, that sounds not horrific, but I guess reasonable. We didn't really have any basis to go off of, so it was like, okay, you got 5 years for a mobile home, your manufactured home. There is no mobile homes anymore. But that was it for our meeting, and our next one is the 17th at 6:30 here, and we only have 1 business item so far, and our newest member, Bonnie Stitt, brought up a possibility of maybe we could be adopting some open space zoning or cluster development. I still don't have a full grasp on it, but at our next meeting, we're going to be discussing amongst ourselves what we think of what she presented us with as far as information on it. So far, that's it for me.
Any questions for Walter?
I have one on the, so if I understood you right, somebody wants to build a house
Mm-hmm.
and they want to move a mobile.
Right, manufactured home.
Manu-
Technically, no more.
manufactured home.
Yeah, but yeah. It still has to follow
Are they
all.
thinking it's gonna take 5 years to build a house?
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, is there anything in there that we can say, yes, you can until you finish the house?
it's they can come back to us if I gotta read it again, but they can come back to us after that time and ask for an extension. But a certain amount has to have been accomplished on the house, but other than that, it just says it's up to us to decide if we want to approve what they're asking us for. And I went looking for what's average, and there's really no average. It's just what you feel like if they're correct or not. And you're like, all right. So that's where we're like, all right, 5 years. You know. Yeah, it did to us, but it has to follow all of the same regulations as placing it. So it's got to go on a fixed foundation. It's got to have sewer running to it. It's got to have electricity. It's got to have everything. So.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Anything else? Thanks, Walter.
You're welcome.
Next is our court report. Tracy is not here tonight. Does everyone have a copy of the court report? Is there any questions with that? No?
Nope.
Okay. Police report. Chief Halliburton.
Good evening. All right. Month of July, 2023, we had an uptick from June. From June, we had 386, and this month we had 440 calls for service, which is actually down from this time last year by 27 calls. We did 212 traffic stops, wrote 88 citations, gave out 150 warnings, and only received 3 property complaints, which I know one was resolved on what was the street?
Red button.
Red Button.
Good.
And that's what we've done so far this June, maybe July, right?
Any questions for Chief? No? It's like an easy one tonight, Chief.
Thank you.
Public Works, Isaac.
Not much to report. Water loss is still down. We did repair a couple leaks in acres on service lines. Did a point repair on Rivendell. Lady called and had a sinkhole in her backyard, and right over the top of the sewer line, we dug it up, and it was broke down. And we actually repaired both sides of the manhole where it kind of collapsed. I wasn't here last month. I'm sure everybody's noticed by now, Henry's Hut is now on the library property. Jimmy, can't think of his last name, with bags come put it up on trailer, hauled it down there, set it right down where it's at, so went pretty smooth. Chad and I are in the process of trying to get some electrical back to the recycle center because the service was on that building, so we had to disconnect it. So we need electricity in there to do Christmas lights. And the library, I haven't seen Marie, didn't see her. Sidewalk or her parking lot should begin the last 2 weeks of this month. I think that's what I read in that email. We got a little bit of work left to do down there. The sidewalk between the two porches has all got to be taken out and raised up. So we're going to try to work on that next week and have that done. So, but look like end of September to be done, I think, if I read that email correctly. So that's moving forward.
Okay.
But other than that, that's all I got.
Any questions for Isaac?
Come on now, fire away.
Well, I mean, you said water loss is down, so
That's what we want to hear. This lady has a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, we do pay so much for the water and stuff like that on the leaks. And I got the house, I bought a house out here in West Fork. I didn't know that the pressure regulator at the street was bad. I've asked for help, I feel uncertain, you gotta get a plumber. We've called a plumber out, licensed and insured and all that. They don't feel right because your guys' site is so rusted out, and I've asked if somebody from there can be there. Is there a bigger reason why nobody?
Where are you at?
74 Southwood.
74 Southwood? Yeah, so typically what we do when those plumbers call, it's a tailpiece that comes off the back of that yoke, and we just replace it for them, and then they put a regulator in and go on.
So
Usually-
different plumber.
Usually the plumbers are pretty good about calling
Okay.
if they run into something like that, so.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Isaac. Parks report, Parks Director Harrison.
So, I wasn't here last month either. I know Mayor already did this, but I want to be sure to thank everyone for the 4th of July event. Our sponsors, our volunteers, just everyone that helped out. It was a tremendous event, took a lot of effort, a lot of people to not only get ready for it, but during the event and afterwards as well. And I just want to thank everyone that was involved and helped out in any capacity. So, other than that, I don't have a lot to report that's in addition to what's in your packet. So we were able to meet this month, so I have minutes in there discussing some of our projects and things. So above that, I don't have a lot to report, but if you have any questions on those items or anything else, I'd be happy to answer.
Any questions for Chad?
Well, one small thing.
Sure. Is it small?
Yeah, but I was, like, I'm not wanting to go back to porta potties, so I was like, seeing where something about the stage is
Yeah,
there,
no, we're still looking at putting permanent restrooms.
and restrooms nearby, but could be transported, so,
No, the stage,
okay, but,
not the restrooms. The restrooms will be, we want to add a second set of restrooms.
but not porta potties.
Not porta potties, real restrooms, yes.
Thank you, cause I was like, how do you
We
make
need a
those portable?
Stage or no stage, which we are gonna do a stage of some kind, but we need a second set of restrooms to, for Carter Park for the outside
Right,
and the disc golf course and the other activities that the one down by the ball field just isn't, enough and adequate and convenient for some of the other activities at the park. So no, we're still looking at putting permanent restrooms down on
So-
the outside area.
One of the things that Chad is, and the Parks Committee are discussing is, do we want to build a stationary stage at Carter Park? So when we're having 4th of July, it's gonna take up parking, right?
Not just the stage, but the area for the audience
Yeah.
and things like that.
So, and so Chad came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea. What if we looked into a mobile stage, something that not only could be out there at Carter Park for events, but then for 4th of July, if we wanted to move it down more into the ball field area, to utilize during the 4th of July, or if we wanted to move that to Riverside for something, it would just give us a little bit more option than a static stage that is constantly taking up space and may not be used or utilized as much as it would be if it was mobile. And so that's something that Chad brought forth to the Parks Committee, and I think there's some discussion there. The Parks Committee, I think, we're kind of set. They decided on a more stationary thing, but it's something they're discussing. So what's the council's thoughts on that?
I think it's a great idea.
The only problem I foresee is electricity. You'll have to have certain spots where you're going to set it up.
Yeah, and all the locations that we would have in mind, that wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only.
We are gonna set up our what we would wanna call a fixed location near where we're gonna put the restrooms. We'll have power set up there and that's where we would hold most of our events. If we had some music events or other events there. It also would serve the disc golf course for tournaments and different things that stage could be used for. But then, like the mayor said, during 4th of July, we could move it down back into the ball fields where we set up the stage down. Wouldn't affect any of our parking. We've already got that set up for power as well. Riverside, there's a couple of different locations down there that it could be set up where there's ample power, things like that. If we brought it over here, it might not be big enough for Westfest to use, but if it was used for Christmas parade or something over here that we need a stage as well, there's ample power. So most of the areas that we would look at moving, we've kind of already have power in those areas.
I think it's an awesome idea.
So there's some feedback to take back to your committee.
Yeah, and they weren't opposed. I think it was more of I brought it to them. I'd been working on the idea, and then after the 4th of July event, when I saw the parking issues, and we really can't afford to give up one parking space, much less 50 to accommodate. So that was kind of what motivated me more to go in that direction and look at some options and what we could do there. So,
It's a great idea.
Any other questions for Chad?
and we're not committing a dedicated space, green space or location for that where it's permanent.
Is there a place that could be stored, Chad, so you wouldn't have to wait months on it?
Well, what we've got in mind is probably leaving it in the fixed location. It's not being moved around, I think, but we will have power. We'll probably have some cameras out there
Right.
and things. So I think we would just store it in its fixed location most likely.
Thank you, sir.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Fire Department, Chief Myers.
Well, on top of having the busiest month we've had all year, the facelift, we'll call it, has taken up all of our time. So really close to being done. Some of you have seen it, I'm sure. Not quite done yet, but it'll get there. Getting ready for Westfest, pancake breakfast, on the 9th, correct? Yep, so that's gonna take all of this month getting ready for that. Radios, we did have the meeting, not to bore you with a lot of dates. By the middle of the month, we're gonna have training. 3 nights, you have to pick one night, do 2 hours one of those 3 nights. I volunteered us to be one of the install stations for the mobile radios. It's gonna be nice for us in the police department. We don't have to go somewhere else to get all that done, so they'll come to us. They'll start handing radios out sometime the end of this month. They'll go live with it the first 2 weeks of next month. So we're really close.
Still set for September 7th, isn't it?
The dates they gave us for going live was somewhere between the 5th and 13th, I believe, in September. So other than that, that's all I got.
Any question for Chief Myers?
Fire station's looking good.
It's looking real good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Thank you, sir.
I bring my card in there and head for the red zone.
You bet.
The county's gonna take too long.
I guarantee you.
Next, our finance report. Christie?
So on the city side of the budget, we have increased our bank balances by $99,000 this year. And right now our departments are showing $359,000 under budget. the Parks Department is showing over budget. I went back and looked at that because I kept thinking that was gonna even itself out, but then when I looked at it again, we did budget $100,000 out of his reserves this year. So that will most likely, if he gets all of the projects done that he plans on doing this year, will end up looking like it's over budget, although that was part of the budgeted number. Our sales tax is still holding at around 13% increase for the city sales tax, and 8% for the county. On the water department, our bank balances have increased by $63,000. And you can see that our water loss is at 21% this month, and our overall sewer expense versus income, we're at $146,000 loss this year. Our payment to Fayetteville this month, when I put that in, it seemed pretty high to me. So we went back and looked, and after calling and talking to them, they had actually estimated our bill. That's when their systems were down. And so they went back and basically looked in 12 months, picked our 3 largest months and estimated based on that. So that bill was larger than it really would have been had they read the meter. But the one that we're gonna pay in, or that we already paid in August, that'll show up on next month's report, is actually much less and will offset that. So it's not gonna make up the $146,000, but it is on a better track. It was on the track that we expected. Just got estimated last month because of their IT issues. Other than that, we have started budgets already. We've got a couple of new department heads, so we're gonna start that process early and give ourselves plenty of time. This year, we've got a lot of other contributing factors with Fayetteville rates and need of new equipment and stuff like that to work on this year. So we're gonna start early and try to get working on some numbers on that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Don't get too comfortable back there. Next is the library report, and Marie is not here tonight. Marie is filling in as interim librarian after Blair resigned. I haven't heard from Blair or how she's doing, but she took a job at LSU in their medical department doing research. So that's where Blair left us for. But are there any questions on the library report? No? I'm not sure if I still have mine or if I gave it away.
You probably gave it away.
I think how many people have been in the library this year?
A bunch.
Down at the bottom.
1,220.
No, total visits. Should be.
Total.
19,854 checkouts in our library. I find that's just amazing.
It really is.
Anybody know how big the snake got?
All right, that will conclude our business reports. Old business. We have discussed the exit interview questions that Misty came up with. Everyone look over those. Thoughts on that? Misty, have you filled one of these out yet?
I'm not exiting.
Looks good.
So my only thoughts on it were, if someone is leaving a committee, we definitely want to grab some information from them.
Right.
But is this perhaps a little too big?
Okay.
Can we
Well,
condense it is
Yeah,
my
we can
question.
condense it, but a lot of times if they're leaving because they're upset, they probably got a lot to say, is what I was thinking.
How many committee members do you know that have left because they're upset?
Is the intention to restrict the speech just because they're upset?
No.
I mean, I do know a few.
Oh.
They've pulled me to the side and,
Okay.
you know, I don't know that they would have even filled out one.
That's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
If they were upset, even if they weren't, and they've decided to step down from the committee, I'm not saying it's not good, I just think it's a lot.
Yes,
And so my recommendation would be that we condense it a little bit.
okay. Yeah,
And that's why I asked you if you'd filled it out, because I kind of went through it and worked
No.
through it,
okay,
and it was a lot as you worked through.
okay.
I wouldn't fill it out.
You wouldn't fill it out?
I probably wouldn't fill it out if it's 2 questions. To be honest. He's gonna be mad when he leaves. I get surveys all the time, delete.
So would you mind
Yeah,
condensing it, summarizing it
Yeah,
just a little
I can
bit?
do that.
Okay,
Yep.
fantastic.
okay.
All right. So, before we go into new business, I would like to get the library report from our interim library director, Marie.
Sorry I'm late. I had a thing at the middle school.
I forgot about that. I knew that and I forgot. I told everybody you just forgot us.
No, sir, not this time. So, checkouts this month, we had 3,462 items check out. We had 20 programs in July and 292 total program attendance. We received 137 new items. And also, yeah, I am acting as interim in Blair's absence. And you guys have any questions for me?
You did a terrific job.
Yeah, we
The 292, is that like all kids?
No, that's anyone who attended the program. So we had adult programs, teen programs, and children's programs this summer. So it's going to be a mix, and also a lot of times parents will stay with their children.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, and maybe for future, we could even get a list of some of the programs. You know what I mean? So we're more informed of what all's going on.
Okay, I'm happy to provide.
I know. Because it's like 20, I'm like, oh my gosh, what all was that? That was a lot.
Do you not follow them on?
No, I don't.
Oh, missed
They
it.
make a program each month too of all the
newsletter, yeah.
Yeah, you need to follow
We
them
need
on
a
Facebook.
newsletter.
They do a pretty good job of
Newsletter
communicating.
too.
So for everyone that maybe doesn't remember, our past librarian, Shannon, brought Marie on as the children's librarian. And that's where she started, was developing children's programming, which she still does, even in her current role. But Marie has really expanded the offerings of the library. Misty, you'd be amazed at what she's doing down there. She's doing
I know, well,
cooking programs.
I know the cooking and the children's
Yeah.
and the teens and
And the poetry.
It's
Yeah.
like a library I've never seen before, and I boast about it.
Yeah.
All over. She's
There's-
great.
yeah.
She does, what are those houses called where you go in and try to get yourself out?
Escape
room.
Escape room.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, family game night. I guess I didn't know individually what these were, and I thought, ooh, we had a monthly list of like what it went on. Because before they have said, you know, Blair has said, oh, it's going to be family night this coming Tuesday. Are you going to come or whatever, you know.
Okay.
So,
Well, I can tell you two fun upcoming things. We have Crescent Dragon Wagon, who's a local author, and she's going to be here on Wednesday. And then the week afterwards, we have one of our lovely local ladies. She's doing a homesteading series with us, and she's going to be teaching people how to make lip balm and salves. So we're going to be having a lot of fun with that too.
and I seen that on the marquee.
Yeah.
When is that going to be?
It's going to be on the 16th from 3:30 to 4:30.
I even got to go down and teach one of the programs.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
and I know about that
month.
too. I know stuff, but I didn't know like all 20 of these.
Do you have to sign up ahead of time for these?
We usually don't have signups ahead of time unless it's like something like the escape room or we're outsourcing the program and the person gave us a limited number. So usually we just we ask for RSVPs to make sure that we have enough materials, but if we don't get them, we just try and be ready for extra people. So.
Anything else for Marie?
I think she's doing a great job on this.
Thank you.
So everybody that thinks she's doing a good job needs to let the library board know that. Okay, thank you, Marie.
Thank you for your time.
I forgot to ask you, Marie, what were you doing at the school?
Oh, there's an open house, so we were handing out bookmarks with lists of programs to the kids, and they were getting ready.
All right. So Misty's going to condense the exit interview survey for us, and we'll discuss that next month. Yeah, I would recommend as you do it, kind of walk through it yourself.
Okay, short and sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Why did you quit?
Do you want me to give multiple choice, A, B, or C? Or none of the above?
All right, new business. Item 1 is an amended change concerning a sewer repair at let's see, sewer repairs on Wheeler between Campbell and McKnight. Isaac, you want to tell us what?
Yeah. So during some of our CCTV, we ran up that 350-foot section, and about 150 foot of it's cracked right through the bottom and water's shooting straight up through it. So we're just going to replace the whole thing from Campbell all the way to McKnight, including the manhole that's bad right there at Campbell. So we won't start that till after Westfest.
Thank you.
And so with that repair, Isaac's asking for $25,000 to be utilized out of those ARPA funds that we have remaining. Christie provided us a sheet that showed what that would leave in unallocated funds remaining in that. Are there any questions, concerns, thoughts, comments on that? Motions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to approve that allocation of funds for that sewer project. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Thank you, Isaac.
Money well spent.
Item 2 is ordinance 516 to amend ordinance 458 to lower the interest rate on bond 2016A. You have that in your packet. Talking about what the current rate is, how that rate would be affected if we were to pass this.
Heath, can I say one thing?
Yes, please. I'm still.
So ANRC actually sent me new ordinances early this week. The only changes in them were some dates. Because of the $800,000 that ANRC is giving us to go towards our principal, they changed some dates on it. I didn't recopy everything and send them out just because it's a lot of pages and a lot of paper. But that's the only changes on them. So the ones that I have to be signed are actually the new ones that have different dates on them. I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. If you want to see the new version, I can email them to you or get them to you.
And so what we're talking about here for everyone that was not at the last couple council meetings, we have petitioned the state, so we took out $10 million worth of bonds to finance that sewer project connecting to Fayetteville. The state came in and forgave $4.5 million of those bonds. Is that right?
Sounds right.
Am I getting my numbers right?
3.5.
Sounds good.
3.5. Yes, 3.5.
Yeah.
You said 10 million?
I'm sorry, 8 million, they forgave 4.5 of 8 million.
Right.
Okay. And so that remainder, we are still paying on. We have petitioned the state to get better interest rates on that. And the state has granted us those interest rates. We also petitioned the state for some additional federal funding to pay off some of those bonds. So what we've been able to do is we are getting another $800,000 in forgiveness on those bonds, and we're refinancing at the same time. This isn't like your house where you pay down $800,000. The state is taking that and they're spreading it out over the life of these bonds. So it's not like we're getting a big chunk of principal just paid off. It's spread out, but we're refinancing from
1.5. So isn't that agreeing to pay more in the long run? By
No.
refinancing?
no. It's saving us several $100,000 over the life of it. We're just not getting to knock any of the years off. So we're going from, what is it, I don't have that sheet in front of me, but we're going from 275 down to 1.5, I believe, on one. And the other one is going from, is that in this, Christine?
1.5 to 0.75.
2.5 to 7.
2.5 down to 1.75?
One of them 1.5 to 0.75.
Oh, 1.5 down to 0.75, thank you. And so on that, on the first one is the ordinance 516 to amend 2016A. Do we have any questions or discussion on that?
No.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion, Mr. President.
A second.
And would somebody like to,
Motion, we read by title only
okay,
Suspend the rule.
and suspend the rule.
okay. So we have a motion and a second to read it by title only and suspend the rules.
Roll call.
So, on this motion, Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight, Don Rollins,
Yes.
and Jimmy Condon.
Yes.
Mayor, I'll read the title for 516. It's an ordinance amending ordinance number 458, authorizing revised repayment schedule and lower interest rate for the outstanding city of Westport, Arkansas Water and Sewer Revenue Bond Series 2016A, prescribing other matters relating thereto, and declaring an emergency. And Mayor, you would you'd entertain a motion to pass, and then Mayor, we will take a separate vote at the risk of trying everyone's patience on the emergency clause if it passes.
Okay.
I'll once again make a motion that we pass it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pass ordinance 516. Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight,
Yes.
Don Rollins,
Yes.
Jimmy Condon.
Yes.
That motion passes.
I thought I heard you say you wanted to pass the emergency clause.
I want to, I motion to pass the emergency clause.
He did.
Okay.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to pass the emergency clause. And what we're doing is we're skipping waiting 3 readings of this so that we can tell the state, yes, we want to take advantage of this now. And we have until the 18th to give them our approval on this. So we have a motion and second to pass this with an emergency clause. Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight,
Yes.
Don Rollins,
Yes.
and Jimmy Condon.
Yes.
So that motion passes.
And Mayor, the next one, we'll do 3 votes again if that's okay.
Okay.
So I thought I heard this gentleman to my right make a motion to suspend the rule for 5.
I make a motion to read by title only and suspend the rule.
For 517.
We have a motion and a second to read ordinance 517 by title only. Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
John Collins,
Yes.
Dina McKnight,
Yes.
Don Rollins,
Yes.
Jimmy Condon.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm happy to read the title, Mayor. It's an ordinance amending ordinance number 486, authorizing revised repayment schedule and lower interest rate for the outstanding city of Westport, Arkansas Water and Sewer Revenue Bond Series 2019B, prescribing other matters relating thereto and declaring an emergency. And with that, Mayor, you could entertain a motion to pass.
I'll make a motion to pass it.
A second.
We have a motion and second to pass ordinance 517. Misty Cottle,
Yes.
Jeff Upton,
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton,
Yes.
John Collins, Dina McKnight,
Yes.
Don Rollins,
Yes.
Jimmy Condon.
Yes.
That motion carries.
I make a motion to adopt the emergency clause.
I'll say.
We have a motion and second to adopt the emergency clause. Misty Cottle?
Yes.
Jeff Upton?
Yes.
Jan Throgmorton?
Yes.
John Collins?
Yes.
Dina McKnight?
Yes.
Don Rollins?
Yes.
Jimmy Condon?
Yes.
And that motion carries. Fantastic.
Mayor, I wonder if we might, make sure everybody knows the 5 places that we posted. I'm not sure,
Absolutely.
can we announce those?
Here, the library, Bank of Fayetteville, City Hall, and the post office.
So when we pass these ordinances, there's 5 places that we post these. Here at the courts, at the library, at City Hall, at the post office, and at, what one did I miss? Bank of Fayetteville. So all of those ordinances are out there for everyone to look at. Do what?
30 days.
For 30 days.
And of course, you can always get one at City Hall as well.
Yeah, you can always come to City Hall and pick one up, absolutely. Item number 4, approve or deny homestead loan funds. So with this, we've been working for 2 years with the homestead subdivision between here and Greenland. They are currently on a step system, a sewer system that is self-contained. We met with the homestead POA and many members of that subdivision about 2 years ago in the community center. At that time, we had asked Homestead if they were interested in tying into the Fayetteville sewer system once our line went up behind them to Fayetteville. They agreed that yes, they were, and asked us to continue. Nick has provided some pro bono engineering work to get a price, and he's been diligent at working with the state to get funding for that. We now have funding for it. So it's a under $3 million project, just shy of $3 million project. Part of that homestead subdivision, the system that encompassed that was when they built that, they encumbered each lot with a improvement bond. And so anybody that owns a house, part of their property taxes go to pay that bond back. And there's currently $220,000 left on that bond that they owe to pay for that initial system. Nick has secured funding from the state, from federal level. We had tried to get some ARPA funds from the county. They did not support it. But all in all, we've been able to put it all together with a $1 million loan to the city of West Fork. So the state came in and said, yes, we'll put money into this project, but we need somebody to facilitate that money. And they asked West Fork if we would be the facilitator of the funds. So now the state has came and said, well, not only do we need you to facilitate it, but we need you to borrow $1 million. Of that $1 million, the state is going to forgive $720,000. Okay, so essentially the city of West Fork would be taking on a $280,000 loan in order to tie in the homestead subdivision.
How many houses is that?
There's 80 houses there. When we initially met with Homestead, we asked Homestead, are you willing to annex into the city of West Fork if we put forth this work? They said they were. Since that time, the city of Greenland has a new mayor, and the mayor of Greenland is actively seeking to annex Homestead. And he and I both met with the POA members last Thursday and talked to them, and he explained he was intending to annex them. Part of the reason that West Fork wanted to annex them was we charge a $22.50 fee, additional fee for anybody that's outside of our city limits that uses our services. So the subdivision is looking like they're going to annex into Greenland. At which I told the subdivision that was fine. I'd kind of changed my mind and wasn't too hip on annexing them anyway. That the city of West Fork in our current position was far better off with the $22.50 on top of their sewer bills than we were on the approximately $10,000 a year in property tax that subdivision pays. They didn't understand that. I told them after we went through and ripped up all their streets and sidewalks and yards, there was going to be a lot of street repairs and sidewalk repairs and many other repairs that City of West Fork wasn't going to have to pay. $22.50 per house for 80 houses is a little shy of $25,000 a year on top of the sewer bills that we would be collecting from them. It's still a win for us. If the average sewer bill was $70 per house in Homestead, it would take us about 4 years to pay off that $280,000. That would be the cash flow back for the city of West Fork, would be about 4 years. So I still think it's a good opportunity for West Fork. We have the sewer line there. It's much like our current situation with the sewer. You know, part of getting rid of our plant was it was outdated. It was an environmental disaster. Their current setup is a disaster. When it rains heavy, they have severe leakages. So we can still provide sewer to Homestead at a price of $280,000. And that's kind of where we're at with it.
So who's gonna bill it for them? Who's billing their sewer?
So, good question, Jen. Fayetteville currently provides water to them. And so when we initially did our contract with Fayetteville for our sewer, we had in that contract that that Fayetteville would provide the billing for our sewer services. So Fayetteville will actually bill and collect and then remit to us. They will charge us a 5% fee to do that. We have included that in our fee schedule to Homestead. So when I met with them, I took and showed them, hey, this is what the current rates are. Christy put together for me what the proposed rate is with Fayetteville's increase, what the proposed rate is with the state's increase, and the 5% that Fayetteville's going to charge us. So they had full disclosure of what the fees were going to look like, what they potentially could look like, and they've still said that they want to move forward. It's a winning situation for them. That step system only gets worse each year.
But theirs is failing now. Isn't it?
Oh, it's failed. Yeah, it has been for the last 2 years. So
Yeah, they've had a rough time with that.
yeah, so they are currently, I think, struggling with some. ANRC is giving them some permit grief on their permit that they have to renew, and so yeah, it's a win situation for them. And I told them, quite frankly, if Greenland was willing to annex them, they should absolutely annex to Greenland.
So do they sign a contract with us during this whole system, or?
No, there's no contract. It'll be once that's tied into their house, they will be on metered sewer, basically.
And they can't just put it to septic if they want?
No, it's against the law.
Is there a reason it's against the law?
They don't have enough property.
Exactly.
Yeah, so environmentally, they couldn't do it, but there's a law that if you're within 300 feet of a municipality sewer system, you have to tie into it. And it's gonna be tied to their house, so yeah, there's no backing out once it's put in.
Does it have the capacity to handle it with the housing additions that are going in here locally?
So when Nick designed that system, he designed it for about a 3x growth of the city of West Fork. So yes, it does have plenty of capacity for that.
More than.
Amazing.
Yeah, we knew that was going on, or a possibility when we built that system, so it was already figured in, but yeah, there was plenty of capacity built into that, yeah. Thoughts on the council?
Sounds like a win-win to me.
Make a motion to approve it.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the homestead loan funds. All those in favor say yes.
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 Those opposed, no. That motion carries. Item 5, approve agreement of understanding with Arkansas Department of Transportation. Do we have that in the packet?
It is, yes, sir.
And so again, this is, I feel like we had already done this at one point. Oh, wait a minute, which one is this?
So we did do a resolution, basically agreeing to the partnership, but this is their, agreement of understanding. Why they need that separately from a resolution, I'm not sure, but this is what they've sent us. But it's basically got the same wording in it that the resolution did that we.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so this is again back to the bridge replacement. We're basically what we passed with resolution telling the state of Arkansas that yes, we wanted a new bridge. We were willing to take over the strip of Highway 170 from 49 to 71 if they would replace that bridge. Do we have any questions on that?
Motion to pass.
Second.
Motion and second to pass that. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. That motion carries. That brings us to other business. Do we have any other business on the council tonight?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
I've had some of the neighbors up in our neighborhood that have been asking about all the dead limbs and things that are hanging around and not being removed after they've been cut from storms and different things in the winter. And they wanted to know why the city doesn't pick it up. I mean, it's not the city's responsibility, I understand, but there's a lot of it up on the mountaintop there that needs to be picked up. So
Is this from the power companies or who cut
it
it?
was just dead limbs and things, to the best of my knowledge. I mean, we had a bunch of them and we hauled ours off, but, you know, some people can't.
Mhm.
So they don't have the ability to do that. So what do we do?
Good question. What do we do there?
It's gonna be a problem at some point because it's dry wood and it's a fire hazard, needless to say.
So is it laying in someone's yard or
It's
something in
laying
the
on the road,
driveway?
right next to the road, all the way around the block. So,
Is there like a community reach program where volunteers can go and help with things like that? Just to help the town? Is there an organization that exists? Would be hard to start one. Fair enough.
it
Yeah.
does need to be removed. It's
So-
unsightly as well as it's a hazard.
There you go, unsightly property.
That's right.
It would have,
I would have to go after the persons whose property is owned,
it,
which circles right back to the original problem.
it's a little bit bad timing. So it would have been great if we would have known this when we were chipping up that mulch down at the sewer plant. That would have been fantastic.
Probably didn't have it then though.
No, we didn't.
I bet we did, actually. We didn't do that until 2 months ago,
I
3
don't know,
months
I've had a
ago.
bunch down the
Have you?
last couple of weeks.
So the city doesn't have any kind of chipping facility or machines. I think this would be, maybe a project for, could we get some volunteer from Boy Scouts or something?
I know we can ask. Jimmy?
Here's a thought, what about the fire lodge program, chief?
Yeah.
I don't have anybody
They don't
that goes
do
around
it
and does
anymore?
that stuff right now.
Cause they used to have a chipper.
We used to have a chipper?
No, the county.
Oh, Greenland has one. Greenland City has one.
Could we possibly, could the city rent a chipper, a couple of times a year or something, and have everybody have a location where people can bring their branches, and then?
We certainly can, and I'm not saying that that's a bad idea. It's one of those things that sounds great on the surface. What we run into, and we're running into currently with the city does 2 citywide cleanups each year for 2 days each. Well, we've been doing that for a while, and now what happens is we've got city personnel standing around for 2 days for 25, 30 loads of trash. So when that first started, there were 200 loads. Well, now we're talking about backing that down to 1 day, just because if you put something like that in and it serves 3 or 4 people or one neighborhood and that's it, well, is that the best use of city funds when this may or may not be a city issue? I mean, that's, and I don't know, Jan, because I haven't noticed that up there.
I would ask.
Yeah, no, and I'm not against anything. I'm just,
Right.
it's one of those things is this a city issue? Is this a homeowner's issue where they've got down trees in their yard? I don't know. And so I don't really know, how should the city respond to this?
Can forestry help?
Possibly.
Are you talking about at the end of our street? They called the city and the city came and removed them. They're gone.
Across from my house. that
Oh,
one
across
there.
from your house.
Yeah, and then up around, yeah. That's not.
Next to us.
That's been for a while, yeah.
So it kind of goes back to, mowing your yard, that's not the city's job. So,
Right.
and I just don't know on this, Jan, is I guess the quick answer. Is there somebody that would volunteer to do it? That would be great. And, the churches and, the Boy Scouts do some projects each year where they go around and do some cleanup and different things. I don't know how to respond to it, and if anybody else has ideas or is more aware of it than I
I just take
am.
my stuff, throw it over the fence. And then there's a guy that, takes care of it. So I got a guy.
One option could be to talk with McClinton Acre about using a section of the quarry as just a, vegetable matter dump zone.
Could be.
Like, if people have the means to haul it there, have a place to put it.
Could be.
A lot of the problem is they don't have the means,
Yeah.
because some of the, up in our neighborhood, it's kind of a lot of it is a retirement. And,
Yeah.
People just don't have the means to, and the other problem is they don't know where to take it if they do.
Right. No, and I totally get that. And it's a fine line for us, right? So the city has to be careful in that I can't provide Marie a service that I don't provide Frank, right?
right.
That's illegal.
Right.
So we have to be careful in that regard. I'm not saying that doing a chipper project once a year is a bad idea. It's just how many people are going to show up, and is that the best use of our funds? I don't know at this point. This is the first time it's came up at the council that we need to look at something like that. So I think we need to inspect a little bit further and see kind of how our obligation runs on that, and make sure that
Would be cleaning private property.
it could be, but if it's something that was, in the roadway.
Yeah,
But did they
Have they
put
put
it
it
there?
Yeah.
So I think we need to inspect it a little bit,
That's
see what we
run
can.
into more often than not, people piling in this because they know the city will come pick it up, because
Right.
it eventually clogs up the culvert and then becomes a problem for somebody, and then we come and get it.
Yeah.
So,
It's become a problem for us because she's talking about a neighbor. And their trees, we have 2 of their trees that have fallen. One fell on our roof and one fell into our big apple tree. And we've actually paid to have one tree removed because it was completely dead and was gonna fall on our bedroom. And we were told we had no recourse against them to get them to pay for it. That we were just going to be stuck with doing it ourselves if we wanted to survive.
I've been told the same thing.
Huh?
I've been told the same thing.
Yes, so we paid to have one taken down, and when 2 more fell, we've taken them down.
Yeah.
But we have left the remnants on their property.
Okay. Okay. So, Jan, I think we need to look into it more, see if there's something the city
Okay.
can do, if there's something the city needs to do, and move from there. So,
Okay.
Christie, if you would, put that on the agenda for next month, and, yes, ma'am.
Does this kind of fall under the new ordinance for property?
I'm not sure yet.
Because according to this person, they got a letter about it.
Okay?
So everything was hauled to the back of their property or put behind objects where you can be seen from the street.
Okay.
But there are other trees that are going to come down and either go across the road or take out our water meter
Okay.
or, and we basically been told there's nothing anybody can do about it, so.
I don't know how.
We'll look into it.
West Fork does it, but my father up in Colorado, he gets letters. He has the bad tree problem. But they get fined XYZ per day, every day until it is, and then they can go take the property.
So we have some ordinances like that as well. It's one of those things, at this point, I don't know where we're at on it. I don't know, and I'll make this point real quick, and then we're gonna bring this back to the council, because we're still in council session here, talking about some stuff. But I do wanna make the comment, we have some new folks in here tonight, but I wanna stress that Facebook is a one-way communication for the city of West Fork. So if you're on Facebook saying, hey, this is going on, or that's going on, or I have this question, nobody from the city is gonna reply to that. We don't have the staff to monitor Facebook all day. And I get text multiple times a week of things that are on Facebook, and I can tell you that 90% of the answers you're getting on Facebook are inaccurate. So if you have questions, please call the city, and we'll do everything we can to answer those questions, but Facebook is not going to be the official answer on that. But, okay, so Jan, we're going to put that on next month. We'll have Isaac look into it, and if we need to, Chief can look into it, or code enforcement, and we'll move that direction with it.
Thank you.
Anyone else have other business? Okay, item E, the mayor's comments. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, Fayetteville is having their council meeting on whether or not to raise our water rates Tuesday night at 5:30.
This coming Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday night at 5:30.
And where?
It's at the Fayetteville City Council chambers off the square. So a couple of things I plan on talking about at that meeting is our wholesale pricing and the fact that we're not getting that through this new contract.
Which, have we ever gotten an actual wholesale price, though we're listed as wholesale?
That is correct, Jimmy. So they are giving us wholesale pricing on water, but we are not getting that on sewer. And in that price increase that they are proposing, we are still getting, we currently get, I think it's a 36% wholesale decrease for water. When the new rates go into effect, we'll still be getting a wholesale discount, but instead of, I think it's 26 and it's going to 21, if I remember correctly. I don't have that math in front of me, but we are still getting a wholesale break on water, even in their proposed.
On water, but not sewer.
Not on sewer. They're actually we're paying a premium above what other sewer customers are paying. So
And we do all our sewer and water in-house.
That's exactly right.
And their other customers rely on them to maintain all that.
That's exactly right. And that is the premise of my argument there. I'm also going to discuss the fact that all of our I&I is captured. So they charge us for the I&I. I&I is, it is groundwater that gets into that sewer system that is still getting treated. Well, in the city of Fayetteville or the city of Farmington or the city of Greenland, they're not getting charged for that I&I. They're getting charged off the meter rates, right? Well, in West Fork, we're charging off the meter rate, but then we're paying sewer fees based on I&I amounts, right? So
Actual metered amounts.
that's right. Our citizens aren't paying that that I&I amount, just like Fayetteville or Greenland citizens aren't paying it. But the city of West Fork is paying that to Fayetteville in our charges. And so that's one of the reasons that our billing does not cover our expenses in many of those months, is because Fayetteville is charging us for the I&I, but we are not charging the residents for the I&I. So I plan on bringing that up as well to help make our point.
Remind me what I&I is again?
inflow and infiltration. Am I right, Nick?
So that's basically groundwater and rainwater?
Yes. Yeah, and just like that project Isaac was looking for approval for, he's found a sewer pipe where the bottom is cracked, and so every time it rains, that groundwater is just popping up into that system. We're sending that to Fayetteville to treat, and
And there's no way to capture, the amount between what I put in there and what might get in there.
that's exactly right.
You know, my meter says that I put 10,000 gallons in there, but between my meter and the main, there's a leak, water coming in. Well, there's no way that we can capture that, no way that we can figure that out. Isaac's doing a wonderful job of trying to find all the infiltration, but we still, while we're trying to do that, there's no way for us to fill that gap.
There's not. And so to give everybody a little bit of fact out there, the city of West Fork buys, or the city of West Fork sells about 50 million gallons of water a year. The city of Fayetteville sells about 5 billion gallons of water a year. So when we think of that, if we use a conservative example for Fayetteville and say that they've got a 25% I&I, that means the city of Fayetteville is treating 1 billion gallons of sewage that didn't get paid for. Now, when we step back and think of West Fork's capturing that I&I because we have a meter just south of Greenland that's got everything that went into our system, and that's what they're charging us for. But they're not charging their other customers for that.
So why are they charging us if they're not charging?
That's my question, Jan. That's my question. So I don't know that the council at the city of Fayetteville is maybe as aware of I&I as we are, because we've been dealing with it for a decade now.
But I think really the short answer to that is they have a meter that has a number that says we can charge this much for this much flow.
Whereas homes don't have meters for sewer.
Whereas a house, you have a meter that puts it in, nothing's showing what comes out, so you charge for what goes in.
Right. And so I feel like that's my job to explain to them where that discrepancy is coming in.
Well, basically, we're stuck with a meter reading, not a actual in or out.
Right. So
from their supply.
And then there was also something mentioned earlier, I think you said something about, somebody said, well, why didn't they treat their own water? We did, but there's no way we could treat that much water now. We can't hold that much water, and the cost to clean out the river and redo the dam that leaks, there's no way we could ever do that.
It'd cost more than how many millions you said?
no, I said we purchase or we sell 50 million gallons of water a year.
No, but when they link to Fayetteville City, sir, how much did that cost?
Oh, 8 million.
So it's gonna cost more than 8 million to do it on our.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So part of those fees were, the EPA regulations had changed so much from the time we put ours in until approximately 2010 when we started working on this project. But now you've got to have people on site 24/7. The discharges, the regulations around discharging that are different. Yeah, it was enormously more money to. I don't remember, Nick. I don't remember any. That was really before my time when you guys were discussing.
It was
this
way up
project.
It was an order of magnitude higher just to build the plant and then to operate and maintain it over. We looked at everything in like a 20-year life cycle. And so thinking about the city having to hire more staff to run the plant, all the chemical costs to meet the permit requirements in the White River watershed. I mean, there's eyes on phosphorus, the nutrient loading, Beaver Lake. It was just,
And
20-year cost was.
Even the parameters now that we have to meet on sewage are more stringent than what drinking water was in the 70s when I worked with the sewer department.
If that's
So,
the case, what's going on with the state of Maryland wanting to dump, unbeknownst things on our watershed, and it includes toxins and needle.
So I'm not aware of anything that Maryland's wanting to do.
Where would I post that? Because that was on 5 News. They were talking about them wanting to pollute our watershed, and I totally stand against that. I brought it up during the meeting when they came to the West Fork Little Town Hall, the little library.
I'm not aware of any of that. Yeah, it's news to me. It's something I'll look into, but yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
because if
anything.
we're having, paying to have all the sewer and everything done, then what's the point when we're just dumping other states' garbage on ours?
Yeah, I don't know. So I would encourage everybody that can, council and otherwise, if you can attend that meeting Tuesday night.
That's what I was gonna ask, is it helpful for citizens? Is there any sort of talking points that you would want us to say that are helpful? I assume they have an open forum
They do.
at the
They'll-
beginning as well, or
So this is
whatever.
going to be a public hearing.
Oh, okay,
So
it's not their normal meeting.
right. Well, it is for them.
Yeah.
Their meetings are quite different than ours. But yes, so anyone that wants to attend during that public hearing and speak is more than welcome to. I think the points, as far as I'm concerned, the talking points are one, so we will be sending them a breakout of, this is what your water rates are on a minimum. This is what the city of West Fork's water rates are on a minimum, and here's the reasons why our rates are high, right? It's not that we just charge more.
Right,
Yeah. So I think
Is that something that the city could put out in an email or something? I don't wanna get up there and be like, hi, I'm Grace, I'm from West Fork, don't charge me more. I wanna have
Got you.
stuff to say.
Yeah.
You know?
Go right after Heath.
What he said.
No, I think some citizen emotion of, hey, my base rate is, my water bill is currently already X. With this proposal, if it goes up, what's the percentage they're raising it?
56.
Fayetteville?
20% sewer and 10% water.
Okay. So if you're raising it another 20% now, I don't know what your base bill is, but I think if they were hearing from citizens of, hey, my bill's already this amount, you guys aren't understanding what kind of a stress that this is putting on our community, and that's what I told them the first time. Is we can't afford more increases, right? So I think it would be good for the city council to hear from somebody other than myself.
Okay.
That this is a major concern for the residents of West Fork.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, if it's like my emails, you probably won't get much out of them. I've gotten not very little, if any, response from any
Agreed.
city council members.
But I do appreciate you sending them, and everybody else that sent them. At least we're getting in front of them.
Noticed.
That's right. And I don't know that some of the other cities are being represented as well as West Fork is in this.
It's letting them know we're paying
discussion.
attention.
Yeah. So. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any regulations because it's almost like the city of Fayetteville is holding us hostage, that they could charge anything they wanted to? Are there not some kind of state?
We have the city attorney looking into that.
That's
Yeah.
why I asked them if we can just dam up the water because it goes in there, and then they wouldn't have it.
So I think that's where we're at, John.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We
Second.
adjourn.
Motion and second to adjourn. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Those opposed, no. We are adjourned.